February 8th, 2023. This is the 2000 tick chart of the S&P 500 E-mini. The chart looked like this today. It kind of was selling off in the pre-market, and then it continued to kind of chop around in the trading range here. So this is how my chart looked after everything was marked up. Chopped in this trading range, but it overall kind of developed a descending trend line, kind of a big sell-off. It did chop around some more, so I would say it's kind of a sell-off, some consolidation, and then it just kind of closed horizontal. So if you are interested in my particular trades or stuff that I found some points of interest, just go to the description below where I kind of time-stamped everything so you don't have to watch the whole video. So let's go ahead and zoom in. This is the pre-market. Pre-market, there would look like there was kind of a, I did have these trading ranges at the very top and bottom of the pre-market, but later it turned out to be not as important or valid. So I don't trade the pre-market, and then this is where the market opens. So today I actually didn't offer too many trades, in my opinion. I couldn't find that many trades. There were a lot of chop. It wasn't as exciting as yesterday, but today, I mean, I wouldn't say it was tough, but it was kind of a test of patience. So we're going to get right into it. So right when it opens, it's respecting the EMA. So prices just kind of move down, then it moves up. You could, if you're really, really looking hard, you could say, okay, well, maybe there's a first entry short here, maybe a second entry short here, and you take it. But I didn't find that many opportunities to take safe and high probability trades. So you're going to see that in a moment. Prices kind of go up. I initially had this much higher. Actually, it wasn't even quite developed yet. It was actually kind of away, and it was just the trading range at this point, which was this guy. And it looked like it was respecting it. Prices kind of move sideways. This is where I found the first possible trade, which is aggressive because it kind of makes a new low at the bottom of this trading range, which I kind of felt it was probably located here with potential breakout down here. It also lined up with the pre-market. So it'd be the first entry short, goes up, second entry short potential. Now at this point, I kind of had this drawn starting from here to one touch, two touch, but it doesn't have a third confirmation touch. So I thought it would have been an aggressive trade, although there's enough room to the EMA. Turns out the trade would have worked, but I didn't know it at the time. Kind of chops around, it's respecting the EMA, comes back up. So I do see a new low, a first entry short, a potential second entry short. I didn't take this trade as well, but when this candle formed, I was a little hesitant because the EMA is kind of flattening, and I don't know if this is truly the trend line because it only had two touches at this point. It had several touches down here. So if this was higher up closer to the top of this trading channel, then I probably would have taken it, but it did close right at the EMA. I didn't take the trade, but in hindsight, I think it would have been a decent trade to take. I would have put the trade, waited till this candle closed, and then put the entry right here at the EMA at 41.59, maybe 41.58.75, just one tick below. Turns out it would have failed you, but you'd have to kind of sit through this, and then you would have gotten your scalp. Price kept moving down, goes down. Now, I'm curious to see if it's going to respect this bottom of the trading range. It looks like it's holding, goes up. What I need to be careful of is the EMA is starting to come down, even though this bottom of this trading range is holding. Prices are getting compressed. Overall bias is bearish, so I would be weary of trying to take anything long because it'd be counter trend, but I'd also be a little bit careful of taking anything short because everything looks very stacked and congested. Prices kind of move up. So this is my first trade. I saw this low. I saw a first entry short. I saw this second entry short potentially forming. So when this candle formed, I liked that it closed below. So I actually set my entry back up here. Show you the trade on the next candle. So when this closed on the next candle, I put my entry right here at 41.58.5, which is 41.56, which is right here. I went short, it filled me, then immediately reversed and stopped me out. So first trade was a losing trade. Prices kept moving. Just get rid of this. just make things easier to see. So I'm already red. I fought the urge to immediately reverse the trade because I knew if I'm wrong, I might be right going the other way, or it could be a trap and I get chopped up. So better to just sit back, calm myself, look for another potential high probability setup because I know I'm probably a little hot under the collar at this point because I got a red trade, but just have to be calm and patient. Kind of as I get better, I might be able to see a good reversal or a good opportunity to reverse the trade, but I'm not quite at that experience level yet. Prices move up, breaks above this trading range that I've drawn. This is from the pre-market. Used to be higher, but I did draw it down just because it had better touches here. Prices come back down. I don't see any good entry. I see one measured leg here, and I'm thinking, okay, they might make another measured move down. Moves down. It goes past the measured move. So it's a very strong downtrend. Comes down, and now it's confirming the bottom of this trading channel, which is good. I have an overshoot here, and it confirms these touches here. Pretty much you have 4 touches. 3 if you want to be very, very clean. But since it has an overshoot here, I'm just careful that there's not an overshoot on this side. So I don't want to take any trades yet. Prices chop around, move up, goes up to test the EMA and breaks through. Comes up. I'm wondering if it's going to break back into this trading range. It doesn't. The trading range holds. So now I see a potential first entry short. I see this come down. I see this first entry short. It comes up. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a potential second entry short. There is a second entry short. So like before, when I took the second entry short, the EMA was horizontal, but this one has kind of shown a direction of kind of moving down. So I got my order ready and I placed it on the next right here. Once it broke down below, I put it right here at 41.48.5, which is 1 tick below right here. It closed very bearish. Now, I actually entered on an engulfing, so it was actually doing a whole bunch of stuff. And when it came down to here, I thought, okay, this looks good. And then during the life of this candle, it never went back up above the EMA other than this first time it went to the high. So when I put my entry here, it's a little risky, a little early, but I did like the setup. And instead of waiting for the whole thing, I just took the entire trade off because I'm just trying to recover the loss from up here. Got my trade completed. I didn't go for a runner. Turns out a runner would have been a good idea, if at least to scalp a little bit more profit, but that's okay. So I have 1 loss here, 1 win here. Prices continue to move. At this point, it's developing this trend. So I drew this line, and when this formed, instead of having this way down here, I kind of moved it down to here so I could get rid of this overshoot. Prices continue moving up. Now I saw this view low, first entry short. I'm getting ready for a potential second entry short because I like how the EMA is kind of crushing all the prices down. I tried to enter right here, but I didn't get filled. Not on this candle, but on the next one. I tried to take it right here, but what happened was when this opened, it immediately flashed down and it didn't come back to pick me up, which is unfortunate because I thought might be a decent entry because when this candle closed like this, even though it hasn't really formed the second entry yet, unless you want to call this a hidden second entry, you could say this is a first entry short, second entry short, a lower high. You could do that count as well, but I counted it as a first entry short, potential second entry short. So I had my order here just because technically you could take it down here to have a confirmation of full second entry, but I wanted to reduce my risk. I took it higher up closer to the EMA, and so that if it does spike up, this trend line will probably crush it down. Unfortunately, I did not get filled, and the prices just went without me. Now, here, I saw a potential failed second entry long. So here, you could say there's a new high, first entry long, second entry long. I restart the count. Yes, you could say there's a first entry long here, second entry long if you're really being technical, but I saw a visual first, second, restart the count, first. I grouped this together as one leg down. There's a second. So At this point, we know the EMA has been holding. So I saw it as a failed second entry long, and I also saw it as a lower high to my original second entry short. So it would be first here, first entry short, second entry short that I didn't get filled on, comes up, fails on the first entry long, and it saw it as a lower high. So I thought this trade might be worth taking. Granted, you have to keep in mind it's already at the lows. However, this overall bearish downtrend is telling me that the prices are going down. I am getting close to this trend line here, but I felt I had enough to scalp out. So I did take the trade. It's a little bit higher risk, a little bit more aggressive. I took it at 41 and a half, which is right here where the cursor is. One tick below this guy. I get filled and it kind of goes down. I get my profit out right there, and I have a runner. Try to trail the runner, but then the runner gets stopped out. Now, in hindsight, this is an aggressive trade. I should have just taken the whole core of the profits off instead of trying to drag a runner behind it, considering that there wasn't that much more room to go down. But I took the trade. The runner pretty much got out break even, so I didn't really get much off of that. So that was the third trade. Price is now bouncing up, breaks above this trend line, but this one's still being respected. So it's telling me that this big guy is probably valid to trade off of. Prices move down. This time it breaks through. Draw a smaller trend channel here. Prices come up. I saw a second entry short here, first entry short, second entry short, or you could group it as first entry short, second entry short. I didn't take it because it was too far from the EMA. I wanted it if it was a little closer. I feel a little more confident. Similar to this guy when it broke up and came back down, then I felt, okay, well, this trade here, I know the EMA is holding and it closed below. And so that's why I put my trade one tick below here on the next candle. But I didn't feel as confident in this one just because it wasn't quite close enough to the EMA. Prices continue to chop. I saw a trading range now, so I drew this line. Breaks down. EMA is holding, which is just telling me like everything is pretty bearish. This is the fourth trade of the day. So I see a new high, first entry long, second entry long. So when I saw this second entry long, I thought, okay, it's coming back into the range. But to take a trade here, I'm being limited by the EMA potentially. Also, it's counter trend. I'd be taking a bullish position in a clearly bearish downtrend. So here, it'd be very risky to try to go long on any of these because right now it's telling you it's still going down. That's how come you saw my trades are all sells. So when I was here, I saw second entry long. I thought there could potentially be a failure if this EMA continues to hold. So I waited. I saw this candle close. And then finally, I take an entry here. So actually, I take that back. I took it a little early. It took it at 41.2775, which is it's a slightly better fill because I got it right here, but I think I had it one tick below. It might have flashed down, filled me, and then I'm wondering if I'm going to get stopped out because granted, it is a little bit risky because the most I was looking for is probably one good scalp down to here. But the EMA is holding, trend is bearish, and I was able to scalp out. I think my runner got stopped out as well right here. So I was able to get my profit of, well, just 1 point. Very humble 1 point, but it's good enough. So first trade was red, and then 3 trades afterwards were green, which is nice, kind of nice to be in the green. Prices continue chopping around. I don't see any good clean entries, good clean setups. There are like second entries, longs and shorts all over the place, but you don't want to just take them anywhere. You want to take them where there's a high probability, usually where there's a key entry point. And they were kind of few and far between today, as far as I could find them. I mean, you might have found more than me for sure if you drew lines that were slightly different than I did. So I did see a first leg up potentially here with a small leg in between. So it's like a first push up, second push up for one big leg. This came into play later after I saw this develop. So I didn't just draw this arrow knowing ahead of time that's what was going to happen. Prices continue. They go up. I drew this bigger trading range and also draw this trend channel going up because I get pretty much 4 touches, 3. And I got, when this completed, I drew this one here. I did have it lower at one time. I had some overshoot, but I didn't quite like it, so I kind of moved it back up to just have 2 and not overshoots. Prices move up. You do kind of a small overshoot here, but not something too scary that you had to worry about it breaking out the other side. But it turns out it does break out the other side. So, but I didn't take any trades yet. And here I saw my 5th and final trade. I saw this as a first entry long coming up, new high, first entry long, second entry long here. So I didn't take the trade yet. I saw this close and I saw this guy and I saw it break past this guy. And at this time, I'm thinking there might be a potential correction here because it's breaking back into this descending trend line. So maybe it's going to come back in. Now, this is kind of a very, very shallow up trend, but I know that it broke past, so maybe it wants to come back in and make one leg up, and then here might be a potential second leg up. So it's first entry, second entry, and this is where I took my first and my last trade actually. So I waited and I saw when this candle closed, I liked that it was closing very, very bullish. So I put my trade 1 tick below, hoping it'd come back and pick me up. Turns out it does. Picks me up at 41.32, which is right here. So 41.31.75 is right here, these double top. And the pickup was right here at the top of this candle. So I got a reasonable fill. It came up. It took out my core, which is good. I dragged my runner 1 tick below this candle, and I just want to try to milk as much of the move as I can. So right now the runner is just chasing these candles all the way up 1 tick below the previous, which is like right here. And then while this one's forming, it'd be down here. And then finally I get taken out right here because my 41.3750 is right here. 41.3750 is 1 tick below this guy. So when this formed, I still had it here, and I just wanted to see if this is going to be a small consolidation before moving up. Turns out this candle takes me out, and my runner gets taken out, but unfortunately it keeps moving up higher. Now I did see a second entry short failure, so you could say there's a new low. First entry short, second entry short. If you're counting this very, very clean technical wise, you'd actually see this go up. You see the first entry short come up, and as soon as it broke below, you'd say this is a second entry short. But in this case, I look at it as a big visual. First entry short, second entry short. It's 2 big legs. And I saw a failure here. And when it failed here, it touched, I was not ready to take this trade because although it looks very bearish, I just wasn't mentally ready to have my order placed here because it went down, flashed, and closed right here. Opened here, came down, came up. And although this is a bullish red candle, I just didn't feel confident in taking that trade at that time. Maybe with more experience and more chart time, I would, but I didn't quite see it that clean yet. Then prices kept moving up. It's respecting the EMA, breaks down. It's respecting this trend channel, which is good. And at this time, as you're watching, it made this really big, like pretty much 50% of the move from here of the open to in regular hours to the low, the high to the low. It's already retraced about 50%. So I'm unsure if it's going to continue upwards or if this big downtrend is going to continue. But right now, at least it's pointing back down. Prices keep moving, comes up to the EMA, barely touches it. I don't see a good setup. Kind of chops around, is creating a horizontal trading range again. It's hard for me to really pick out any good trades because this is so stacked. It's one candle after the other, about the same sizes. I mean, even though it's below the EMA, it makes me reluctant to take a short because if you say there's a new low, this is first entry short, second entry short, third entry short, I don't know. It comes back down. This is double bottom, so you would technically restart the count. First entry short comes back down, new low, first entry short. I mean, it was just kind of a lot of noise, something I wasn't too confident in taking. I did see an aggressive trade up here. As you can see, the downtrend's playing down. Depending on how you made the count, I saw a second entry short. Now, how you'd have to do the count is actually from down here, first entry short, goes all the way up. Second time it moves, it would be second entry short here. But this wasn't the best candle, even though it is touching the top of this trading range. There is a trade if you wanted to be aggressive and take it all the way to the EMA, but I took a similar trade like this yesterday, and it fooled me and it kind of went back up because the uptrend was still in play stronger than this downtrend. So I left that alone because I remember what happened to me yesterday. Prices kept moving down, so I do draw this first measured move, thinking there's going to be a second one. So when it completed here and it went up and down, when I first drew this measured move, and I drew the second one, dragged it to this guy, this location, to start the second leg here, just to get an idea of where it could potentially go all the way down to. It does kind of complete the second part of the measured move. It bounces, but certainly not something to trade off of. And then it's just kind of noisy here. And I also saw one big leg potentially, because when it came back up and it went back down, I thought, okay, maybe this is one big leg here going down. And inside this leg is two smaller legs, and then I just drew and kind of copied it over here, watching this. So here's one big leg, but this is one part of the big leg, one smaller part, and the second part of the leg. So it'd be 1, 2, but they're not measured, so I didn't really draw the arrows for that. EMA is still holding. I don't see any good clean setups or high probability, and it's getting pretty close to the end of the day. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands now and I'm just watching. I mean, it gets very choppy now because it just kind of oscillates back and forth, and I don't want to trade or be stuck in any of this noise. So I just kind of watched till the end, till the close. So that's how I saw the charts today. I'm very fortunate that although I only had one red trade, I was able to make up for it by 4 good trades. Well, a couple of them, I think one of them was like a little aggressive, like right. I think it was like this one was maybe not this one, but I think it was this one. It was a little aggressive because it was already close to the lows. I had no idea it'd come down even further. And this one was counter trend, but at the time, the uptrend looked like it was coming back up. So I wasn't afraid going long here, even though this entire bearish trend was still going down. However, just want to keep in mind that even though this is a downtrend, it wasn't a very clean, abrupt, very accelerated downtrend. It looked like it was down, oscillated horizontally, down. You could say it kind of chopped around a little bit sideways, came here. I mean, I have a lot of trading ranges, like a little consolidation here, came up, a little junk here, comes up, down, consolidation. So it wasn't as clean as you've seen in the past, where it just kind of goes top left to bottom right, or an uptrend of bottom left to top right. So it was a little bit noisy. I didn't see that many trades, but I was able to scalp out about 5 of them, with one being a red one. So that's how I saw the trades today. Hopefully it helps.